Hello, Candace.
Not you again.
Me again. Remember our last oil change? Your boyfriend said he knew a guy who knew a guy. None of those guys knew what they were doing, including you, Todd.
Silence your oil change anxiety at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where you can watch our experts change your oil right from your car.
Thanks for coming in.
And finish in about 15 minutes. Valvoline. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
I'm Mallory Hartley. That's Greg Powers, and it's This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting, presented by our good friends at Chicken Express. Powers, you had something to tell me about Chicken Express this week.
Yeah, I think people are sleeping on the fried pickles, right?
Okay.
If you're sitting around watching football on a Saturday, trust me, I've tried this. If you're sitting around on a Saturday watching ball, they give you so many fried pickles or appetizers in general. But I just think that's one of the things that people are sleeping on there. We talk about the fried okra a lot. We talk about the corn nuggets. I'm a mozzarella cheese sticks fan. That's one of my go-to sides, but the fried pickles is like the perfect football app to me. Friday night, Saturday afternoon, perfect timing.
I'm big into the fried jalapeno poppers.
I like them.
That's my thing.
They're different than everybody else's, and I think that's what makes them special. They're really cheesy.
Yeah, and they're a little bit smaller too, so it doesn't feel like you're eating a massive like a whole jalapeno.
They hook you up though. Like if you get one of the family.
Yeah.
If you get one of the family size sides, it's tons of food.
You know, and that's one of the things that I have always appreciated about Chicken Express is that they are very generous with the amount of food that they give you. Because you'll go in there and you'll order like the 3 tender express meal or the 4 tender express meal, and 9 times out of 10, for me it's like 10 times out of 10, you're gonna get at least 4 or 5 tenders
bonus
in that box.
Strips, bonus tendies.
bonus tendies. You can't go wrong with that at all. It's This Week in Recruiting, presented by our good friends at Chicken Express. We're always thankful that they sponsor our favorite segment of the week. Shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
We'll start with our prospect on the rise. The prospect on the rise this week is Kilgore 2026 athlete La'Keyleon Graves. 6 foot, 180-pound DCTX 3-star, recently committed to Texas State over offers from Kansas, Wake Forest, Houston, and a couple more. And this commitment is the highest rated commitment that Texas State has ever been able to pull in program history. He was our last DCTX Rising 100 prospect to commit, so now all 100 prospects have now committed to play at the next level, and that makes Texas State the only G5 program in the nation to have a commitment from a prospect within our top 100 list. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really saying something. And we all got a chance to see what La'Keyleon Graves could do on the big stage last year. Kilgore advanced to the state championship game. He was one of the leaders on that team. We saw him at state 7-on-7, where he's consistently been one of the best two-way players in the state. I find it interesting that Texas State, who's in charge of this recruitment, is Coach Martinez, the wide receivers coach. So Texas State has a clear path for him probably to play on the offensive side of the ball, but he's so talented. If things just didn't happen to work out on offense, you know that you could flip him over and have an extremely athletic guy on the defensive side of the ball as well. I love this commitment for Texas State. One, because Graves is a dog. Two, he has tremendous versatility, right? Like he is a guy that you could really plug and play in a lot of different spots. And 3, this sends a message, right? You talked about something that I feel like is very important. 99 out of the top 100 players in Texas are committed to P4 programs, except for Texas State has one of those commitments as well. Big win over UTSA recently was like a to me like a
kind of like that deciding factor,
like a message being sent. Like here we are, you know. Now La'Keyleon Graves commits, and that's a recruiting message that you can also get behind on the trail. Pretty good class that Texas State's putting together this year. There are a lot of guys on it. Colin Thompson's another guy that I'm really high on that they hold a commitment from, but Graves is like the guy that all Bobcats fans are going to lay their head on their pillow at night and be thankful that he's on the commitment list. I think that he's going to be a player that can be like Brad Jackson to really, and capture that fan base.
I got to catch up with him at the state 7-on-7 tournament this year, and one of the questions that I was really curious about asking him was, which side of the ball do you prefer? Because we watched him at 7-on-7 and he stood out. He made abundance of plays on both sides of the ball at wide receiver. He can play nickel. He can play outside linebacker, safety. Like you said about his versatility, he can pretty much play anywhere.
You have me hanging on. What did he say?
He said, I just like playing ball. I'm going to compete no matter where I go or which position I play. And then one of the things that I also asked him was, what have you been working on during this offseason? And one of the things that stood out to him that he has improved on is his route running ability. So that tends to it makes me think that he's probably going to play, like you said,
offensive-minded
side of the ball when it comes to Texas State.
I really like watching his ball skills. He's one of those guys who has a big body, long arms, knows how to use it. He can out-position defensive backs. I like the offensive fit for him. The recruiting analyst inside of me always wants to put these big athletic guys on defense right away, but if they can score touchdowns, that changes everything, right? So get this man in the end zone, and if it doesn't work out, put him on the defensive side of the ball. Nothing to lose. I think Graves could be an NFL player one day.
And I want to get your opinion on this before we move on. To me, in the last couple of years, it feels like a different Texas State program. Now, they're pulling in commitments like we haven't seen before. I think La'Keyleon Graves is a great example of that. And they just announced that they're going to be moving into the Pac-12. That was once a powerhouse conference. It feels like to me this is kind of like the turning point. They had a huge win over UTSA. They played Arizona State pretty close last week. It feels like to me that this is a new Texas State program under G.J. Kinney and company. Yeah,
no doubt about it. I really feel like this program is trending in a very positive direction right now. And we had an article written by Mike Craven. I don't remember the exact title, but the gist of it was crown the new kings of G5 in Texas, basically. And there may be some people that have something to say about that, but Texas State has certainly arrived under Kinney. There has been an energy there, and I think the coaching job that they've done has been tremendous, because heading into year one, really every year, they've had to replace a lot of parts, and it's not easy to gel a team like that when you're having changes at quarterback, when you're having a lot of changes up and down the roster. They've done a tremendous job of having these guys ready to play each and every week, each and every season. And they've been interesting to me on the recruiting trail because they target such prolific Texas high school football players. They know what they're doing when they're recruiting Texas. They're getting guys who can play ball. They're getting those guys, as like a lot of the coaches around here want to say, they're football playing dudes.
They're football playing.
When you're getting a football playing dude, all the other coaches also know it. Not only the college coaches, but all of our Texas high school football coaches like, oh yeah, that dude can play. And when they're saying that to you, you know they're on the right track. Absolutely. Congratulations to La'Keyleon Graves making his commitment to Texas State. He is our prospect on the rise this week. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is Prosper 2026 offensive tackle Bryce Gilmore. 6'5", 295 pounds. He's a DCTX 4-star. Recently flipped his commitment from Arkansas to Texas Tech after his visit to Lubbock this weekend after a dominating 45-14 win over Oregon State and a hot 3-0 start for the Red Raiders. I got to sit down with Bryce Gilmore over this past offseason before he even committed to Arkansas. But he talked a little bit about the Red Raiders and what he liked about the program. Let's see what he had to say. What makes the Red Raiders so special in Lubbock?
What makes them special is obviously Coach Lemons, who was our old defensive line coach, and then because he told some colleges about me in my earlier stages when I was still playing JV and stuff. He was like, y'all are going to want to get on this kid. And they did, and them having Ellis and Cardi up there is a big push also for me, because those are like my brothers, and me being with them for my 2 or 1 year, that means a lot to me. So
absolutely.
Just having them be at Texas Tech and them telling me how the coaches are up there, how they truly are, it just helps me.
Man, and just from listening to that, he was high on the Red Raiders from the get-go.
Yeah,
I think.
No doubt about it. I love talking about the Prosper pipeline, right?
Oh,
You saw it at the beginning of the clip, the graphic that they put out about, Ellis Davis, Connor Carty, and now Bryce Gilmore all committing to Texas Tech and playing there. They've done a tremendous job there, and guess what? Prosper has had the most dominating offensive line in Texas high school football for going on 3 seasons now. So that's a great pipeline for Texas Tech to dip into. On a deeper level, I love the fit in this class of Bryce Gilmore to Texas Tech. He's an extremely versatile offensive lineman, has a lot of experience playing right tackle. He's been coached in high school by one of the best offensive line minds to me, Coach Thompson at Prosper, and I think he's going to be college ready. I think he could also kick inside and play guard for Texas Tech, but he gives them – the security blanket isn't the right word because he's such a high upside. I mean, he's a legit 4-star, a guy that had tons and tons of offers on the national level. But it is a security blanket from this aspect, is that he's so versatile. If you have a spot that opens up and you need somebody to possibly plug and play there, I think Bryce Gilmore could be that guy. I think this is an extremely valuable addition, and I think that he's a guy who could develop into one of the best offensive linemen in the conference. He's an all-conference caliber player, or has all-conference caliber potential with an NFL ceiling.
Well, like you just said, his dad played 8 seasons in the NFL. Obviously, He played as a wide receiver at the next level of the NFL, but that still kind of speaks to the bloodline in his athleticism that runs in the family there. Now, and one of the things that I talked to him about when I sat down with him during the off season is kind of the things that he was working on in the off season. And one of the things that stood out to me was he relied a lot on solely his athleticism.
Right.
As a sophomore. And really as a junior, he told me. But one of the things that he specifically pointed out to me was that he worked on his technique a lot. And when you mix technique with athleticism, to me, that calls for a high upside.
No doubt about it, because he's just one of these guys that continues to get better with each and every rep. And we've seen him kind of grow up from the time that he was picking up offers when he was on the JV squad all the way up until he was an immediate starter at the varsity level. He continues to get better with each and every day about his game. And you saw him in person. Whenever you met him, he's a big dude. He passes he's legit put together. He has the exact frame that you're looking for. But off of the field, I think, is even more important. He's a guy who just continues to go out there and work, right? He's not a huge, he just does his job. And that's what you're looking for out of offensive linemen, are guys who go out there, learn the game, study the game. Doesn't hurt that his dad was an NFL player and he has such an elite frame, but continue to make those improvements to get yourself better on the field with each and every rep. And this class for Texas Tech, it's pretty
absurd.
It's pretty stinking good. You're talking about the number 2 player in the state, Felix Ojo, true left tackle potential, 5-star, the number 1 safety, Donovan Webb. We got a chance to see Chase Campbell, right, in person.
Ago, yeah.
Oh, by the way, he went for over 200 yards receiving, or I think it was 7 catches for 200 yards last week. An elite playmaker, and now you add Bryce Gilmore in there, another in-state 4-star prospect. But up and down this list, and I guess this is for Ashley Pickle, Crush Johnson's pretty good too.
Crush Johnson is awesome.
Crush Johnson's,
not only is his athleticism elite, but the name is also elite
right
when it comes to Amarillo Test.
Just a special class, right? Though this is just a special class. What Texas Tech is doing is sending a message to the rest of college football, not only in Texas, but nationally. Out of state in the 2027 class, they've got 2 huge elite national prospects already committed. Texas Tech has arrived, at least from this recruiting perspective, and they're winning on the field. The wins continue to come their way. They're going to have arrived on a whole nother level. And that's exciting to watch. If you're a Texas high school football fan, if you're a fan of Texas colleges, Texas Tech's ascent in recruiting's been fun. And I'm interested to see if that ascent in recruiting also leads to the national ascent in the rankings.
Well, and speaking of the trenches on the other side of the ball, on the defensive line, Zane Rowe and Caden McCarty, both kids from the class of 2027, high-ranked defensive ends in the class of 2027. Both were in attendance for Texas Tech's win last
Yeah, and
weekend.
Caden McCarty's tape from last week was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
He's a dude.
Yeah, he's kind of fun. And he was one of our DCTX Rising top 25 freshmen and had a great freshman season there. But, yeah, last week's tape was fun to watch.
Bryce Gilmore, our commit of the week, as he flips his commitment from Arkansas to Texas Tech. Shall we round it all out, Powers?
Let's do it.
We'll round it out with our underclassman of the week. Speaking of fun, our underclassman of the week this week is Richmond Randle 2027 running back Landen Williams-Callis. The 5'8", 185-pounder had 22 carries for 326 yards and 6 touchdowns, averaging 14.8 yards a carry this week against Fort Bend Travis, and holds over 60 offers.
Yep.
Over 60 offers. Just let that sink in for a second.
He's the most offered prospect in Texas, regardless
of classification.
Yeah, position, whatever. He's the most offered guy.
He also won the 5A Division II All-State Offensive Player of the Year last season as a sophomore.
Yep.
He is insane. And when you're watching his tape, he's the type of prospect that you can recognize immediately and say, that dude's lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to quit making comparisons for Landen Williams-Callis because now he's graduated in my mind to his own thing. Mm-hmm. And that's the highest compliment, right? Whenever we were talking about him as a freshman, I came on and I was like, oh, he's Barry Sanders. Well, now he's Landen Williams-Callis.
Right.
Right? He's his own thing. And also, he holds a state championship ring.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like a lot of
highest.
A lot of accolades, like personal accolades, but the greatest thing about his like trophy case to me is that he helped lead his team to the promised land already, right? He's a winner.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you're seeing his offer list like continue to explode, because he's a kid who just gets it.
Yeah.
We've talked about these guys on this show already, but Landen Williams-Callis is a dude who loves football and he's really good at it. And he's so special. He's got elite movement in the middle of the field. His feet are really quick. He has verified track top end speed. I don't remember what the times are, but it's 10.5 or better, I believe, something like that. And, like a 4.48 verified 40 times. So like his speeds are legit, and he goes out and backs everything up with like consistent production week over week. When you need Landen Williams-Callis to make a big play, he makes a big play.
He's going to make a big play.
And he has a chance to leave Texas high school football as one of the most decorated running backs of all time if he continues on this trajectory. And guess what? That 326 yards was like, hey, guess what? He's going to put up these numbers again this year. Everybody in the country wants him, and they're trying to get him on campus right now to make their pitches because, as we know, the recruiting process for these top-tier recruits is getting sped up a little bit.
Right.
They're using this time to take unofficial visits so that they can really lock in for their official visits in the springtime. It used to always be during the season you're taking your official visits. But now in the recruiting process, most of these players are going to be committed at or around July 4th.
Before their senior year even starts.
Yeah, and there's one trip he's taken, and he's taking a trip this weekend to Oregon. So the Ducks are a program that I'm going to watch in his recruitment because, I'm a big watch what they say or watch what they do, don't
Not
listen,
what they say.
right?
Yeah.
So taking a trip up to Oregon, and I think that he would fit really well in that Ducks offense with Dan Lanning and Will Stein. So I'm really excited to see if the Ducks can reel him in. But they're going to have a ton of competition in this one because all the top dogs have come calling for Landen Williams-Callis.
12 out of the 16 SEC schools have offered him, and 11 out of the 16 Big 12 schools.
I want to know the ones that haven't offered him because what are you waiting on, right?
Might as well throw your hat in the ring. You never know, right? You really never know. But speaking to his upside a little bit, he does have a very high upside because that athleticism runs in his bloodline. 2 of his cousins played at the next level in college and succeeded at the next level. And then his uncle played in the NFL for a couple years. So he does also come from a long bloodline of athletic family that has done well at the next level and beyond that.
I just want to say for the fans of the show and all that kind of stuff, we're going to be talking about Landen Williams-Callis a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a name that I feel like is going to be, by the time he leaves Texas high school football, if he's not already, this is a household name. And we don't come on the show and say that kind of stuff. Like, this is a guy that you have to pay attention to. If you have a chance to watch a game on Texan Live and you want to watch this guy run, that's the game you need to watch because he is must-see TV.
I think so too. Well, and it kind of makes me think that Richmond Randle could potentially be back.
Well, I mean,
to Stadium.
they're the defending state champs. I mean, until they lose, they wear the crown. That's how I see it.
And they've done. I mean, hot 3-0 start for the Lions too already this season, and
big game coming up against Iowa Colony.
Iowa Colony, that first district game. That's going to be one of the most exciting games.
Trying to be there for that one.
That's a good.
Trying to be there for that one.
Actually, be there for that one to see Landen Williams-Callis in person. Well, I think that'll do it for us. Do you want to let the fans in on where we're going to be this Thursday night for our DCTX Rising Game of the Week?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this week's game. We're going to be Rockwall at North Crowley on Thursday at 7 p.m. Rockwall featuring Jack Duckworth, the Stanford commit, and a guy at North Crowley who I'm really excited to see is Demarion Mays, 2028 wide receiver. I think he went for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. But I also got to give a shout out to one of my favorite football players to watch, just a fun football player, and that's UTEP tight end commit Jackson Stoner. This dude knocks heads around, so he's always one of my favorite watches. So I do want to get my shout out in there for the big blocking tight end, the guy who just mauls people up front.
You can catch that game this Thursday night on TexanLive.com or for free on YouTube.com. As always, keep it locked on TexasFootball.com/recruiting. For Sam Moore and Greg Powers, I'm Mallory Hartley. We'll see you next Tuesday at noon.